Conscription has always been a testing time for every South Korean man, not least for a popular figure of Cha Eunwoo's caliber. As one of the most popular K-pop idols and actors, military service is not just about performing state duty, but also about how he deals with his rarely seen human side in public. Some time ago, an emotional moment was captured and became a heated conversation. Cha Eunwoo cried when he received a phone call while serving in the army. This story not only thrilled the fans, but also opened up the fragile sides of a star who has been perfectly recognized in the eyes of the public. Behind the charming smile, camera glare, and cheering fans, Eunwoo is just a child, an older brother, a best friend, and a human being who feels a deep longing. When that moment happened, Eunwoo was going through a busy day as an active soldier. Military life is much different from the sparkling life of the entertainment world that is already familiar to him. No fancy cameras, no grand stage, and no fan cheers. There is only a green-striped uniform, hard physical training, strict discipline, as well as a monotonous routine. That day, the atmosphere in the military camp was quite ordinary. The soldiers, including Eunwoo, had just finished a grueling afternoon training session. Sweat was still on her face. Her hair was slightly wet from the scorching heat. However, there was something that excited him a little: the opportunity to receive a call. In the Korean military program, soldiers are given limited opportunities to communicate with families through phone calls. For many soldiers, this moment becomes a mental salvation, as if an oasis in the middle of a long desert called conscription. Eunwoo picked up the phone with a slightly trembling hand, not because of fatigue, but because of a mixture of homesickness and nervousness. In the distance, a voice he knew very well sounded, gentle, loving, yet also filled with a deep sense of longing. Her mother's voice. "Eunwoo, how are you?" asked the mother in a voice that sounded trembling, holding back tears. Eunwoo smiled slightly even though his eyes immediately turned red. "Mom, I'm fine. Don't worry." But that short sentence was precisely the beginning of the collapse of the wall of patience that he had been building. The cry that he had endured since the beginning of training finally broke out. Tears fell down his face, his voice choked, and he couldn't hide his feelings. Behind the strapping body and masculine face of his military uniform, Eunwoo is just a child who longs for his mother's embrace. The fellow soldiers who were around him were silent. Some lowered their heads as if to give private space. Others patted him on the shoulder with understanding. For them, that moment was something very human. No one can truly resist the longing for family, especially a mother. Eunwoo tried to calm down, but the harder he held back, the more tears flowed. "I miss you so much, Yama. I want to go home. I want to eat your cooking. I want to see our house again," he said softly. Those words brought many who heard them to tears. The mother across the phone couldn't hold back her tears either. She knew her son was doing his duty, but as a mother, she just wanted him to be happy and healthy. "Eunwoo, hold on a little longer. We're all waiting for you at home. Appa, Hyung, everyone misses you. Never feel alone, because your heart is always with us." The moment then spread widely among fans. Although initially not something that was deliberately published, the story of Eunwoo crying when he received a phone call immediately became a hot conversation. Army, Aroha, to K-pop fans across fandom also expressed their feelings. Korean media wrote long reports about Eunwoo's human side, while international media highlighted how hard military life can make a star like Cha Eunwoo melt into tears of longing. This moment is also a reflection for many fans of how much pressure their idols are facing. On stage, Eunwoo is charismatic, full of confidence, and always spreads a smile. But in the military, he again became an ordinary young man who had to go through long nights with fatigue, chills, and a deep longing for home. In an interview after the moment came out, a fellow soldier said, "He always tries to be strong in front of us, but when he heard his mother's voice, all his defenses collapsed. It was the most honest moment I've ever seen from him." Fans from around the world flooded social media with messages of support. The hashtag #StayStrongEunwoo was trending, with thousands of loving messages addressed to her. Many wrote, "Crying doesn't mean being weak, Eunwoo. It's a sign that you're human, and we love you for who you are." For Eunwoo himself, that moment became an important lesson. He realized that there was nothing wrong with showing weakness, because behind weakness there is strength. By crying, he actually feels more relieved, closer to his family, and more loved by his fans. After that call, Eunwoo tried harder. He spent his days in the army with renewed vigor. Although the longing never goes away, he knows that there are millions of people out there waiting for him to return. He was not only a son to his family, but also an idol who meant so much to so many people. As the story continues, many cultural experts are highlighting how conscription in Korea is not just a state duty, but an emotional journey that shapes character. In Eunwoo's case, the moment of her crying became a symbol of how a world star can remain human, remain fragile, and stay close to her family values. This story does not stop at one moment. Whenever there is an opportunity for communication with his family, Eunwoo always looks forward. He knew the call wasn't long, maybe only a few minutes, but it was in those short minutes that he was able to gain new strength. For many fans, this moment of Eunwoo crying actually deepened their love. They feel closer to him, not as a perfect idol, but as an ordinary human being they can understand. And when one day his military service ends, that moment of crying will always be remembered, not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of sincerity. A story about a child who misses his mother, about an idol who misses home, and about a human being who shows his heart for what it is. Cha Eunwoo may be known to the public as a perfect figure with a beautiful face, tall body, and a brilliant career in the entertainment world. But when he was drafted into the army, all of that perfection was no longer in the spotlight. His striped green uniform, boots, and hard routine made him just like any other soldier marching every morning. The difference is only one. Behind the uniform, stored the heart of a child who really misses his family. After her first phone call with her mother that made her cry went public, Eunwoo felt embarrassed. He is worried that fans will see him as a weak figure. However, his fears were quickly dispelled when he learned how much support was coming from various parts of the world. Tens of thousands of messages of love, prayers, and encouragement flooded his official fanbase account. They affirm that crying is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of sincerity. Eunwoo's days in the military are hard, but every time he recalls his mother's voice on the phone, he finds new strength. The long nights in the barracks, as all the soldiers lay in exhaustion, Eunwoo often closed his eyes and listened back in his memory to his mother's words. "We are waiting for you at home." That simple word to him is stronger than the spirit of anyone. One day, he got a chance to call again. The same nervousness returned. The hand holding the receiver is cold. Cold sweat flows even if the air is not hot. As soon as the connection is connected and a voice from the opposite side is heard, his eyes immediately turn red. This time it was not his mother who spoke first, but his father. The firm but warm voice made Eunwoo choked. "Eunwoo, Appa is proud of you," his father said briefly. Eunwoo was unable to reply with long words, only a quiet whisper, "Appa," accompanied by a small sob that broke again. It was as if the longing he was holding was piling up again and could only come out in the form of crying in the barracks. Some of his colleagues who saw Eunwoo's back was shaken tried to give support in a simple way. Some patted him on the shoulder, others just sat quietly beside him. The warmth